They thought it was their dream home. 4 bedrooms, a big backyard, and way below market price. But the blueprints hid something. A secret room that no one told them about. And by the time they discovered what really happened there, it was already too late. This isn't just a ghost story. This actually happened. And once you hear it, you'll understand why that house was sold so cheap. In 2009, the Clark family, Steve, his wife Karen, and their 10-year-old daughter Lily moved from Boston to a quiet suburb in Pennsylvania. Steve had just landed a remote IT job. The house they bought was a steal. 4 bedrooms, colonial style, backyard with a big oak tree, and an unusually low price. Too low. But the seller said it was due to an estate situation. A quick sale, cash preferred. Steve, practical and skeptical, thought they just got lucky. Karen was thrilled. Lily was already picking her room. Even the neighbors seemed polite, if a little distant. One elderly man next door waved only once and never made eye contact again. Karen joked about it, calling him Mr. Shadow. Lily explored every corner of the property. She even said she made a new friend named Red. Her parents thought it was just a harmless imaginary friend. It wasn't. Things were fine for the first few weeks until they started unpacking in the basement. Behind an old bookshelf screwed into the wall, Steve noticed something strange. There was no foundation wall behind it, just empty space. He pulled the shelf away. A sealed wooden door, painted over, not listed on the blueprint. No handle. The space behind it was just wrong. Lily later described it as the place the air doesn't move. Steve, ever the curious one, used a crowbar and popped the door open. Inside was a small, cold room. No windows, just concrete walls and a rusty metal chair in the center. The kind you'd see bolted to a prison floor. And on the wall, dozens of tally marks, scratched with something sharp. Karen immediately felt nauseated standing at the threshold. Lily stared into the room without blinking. "Red sits there," she said. At first, Steve thought it was a storm shelter, maybe repurposed by a previous owner. Karen wasn't so sure. She said she felt watched standing near it. That night, Lily started sleepwalking, something she'd never done before. She stood in front of the door at 3:17 a.m., whispering, "He's not done counting." They tried to brush it off. Stress, imagination, new surroundings. But then the scratching began. Every night, around the same time, 3 a.m., they'd hear faint, repetitive scratching coming from the basement. When Steve went down to check, he'd find nothing, except more tally marks, added to the wall. Karen tried to get rid of the chair, dragging it out of the basement, but the next morning, it was back. Steve installed a motion sensor camera, thinking maybe it was just a prank. The footage showed something different. At exactly 3:17 a.m., the screen glitched. When it returned, the chair was turned slightly, and the tally marks had grown. Things escalated quickly. Karen found knives moved from the kitchen drawer to the basement steps. Lily's drawings, once flowers and animals, began to show dark figures behind bars. One had red eyes. When Steve tried sealing the door shut again, he found it open the next morning, wide open. Then came the smell. The basement reeked of rot and metal, like rust and blood, even though there was nothing there. Karen called the realtor. No answer. She checked online again for old listings of the house. Nothing recent, but she did find a 1996 article in a local news archive. Retired nurse Linda Rowe, age 74, was found guilty of holding a man captive in a secret basement room for nearly 11 months. Victim was mentally ill, believed he was being cleansed. Room was never officially removed due to legal delays in demolition. The house address matched theirs. The previous owner had converted the space to torture someone in the name of healing. That night, Lily told them Red had changed his name. He says he was once Daniel. In the late 80s, Linda Rowe ran an underground healing ministry. She believed she could cure mental illness through silence, restraint, and isolation. Neighbors reported hearing strange sounds at night, but the house was quiet during the day. In 1996, a tip led police to break down the basement wall and find a man barely alive. He was chained to the very chair the Clarks would discover 13 years later. He had scratched 478 tally marks into the wall. He weighed only 97 pounds. He'd forgotten how to speak. No one knows what happened to him. He disappeared after treatment, but legend says he left the hospital muttering one word over and over. Still counting. The police officer who found him never worked again. He left a note 2 months later. It followed me home. Then came the final night. Steve woke to a low thumping from the basement. He grabbed a bat and crept downstairs. The door was open. On the chair sat something that looked like a man, pale, sunken, unmoving. It blinked once. Steve ran upstairs. Karen called 911. The operator heard growling through the phone. When police arrived, the room was empty. But the tally marks? They had doubled. There were now 956. The next morning, the Clarks left. No debate. Just survival. They left furniture, dishes, everything. Later records show the house was foreclosed, then demolished. The crew who bulldozed it reported strange mechanical failures and said they felt watched. One worker said he saw someone staring at him from the hole where the chair had once been. No one else saw it. One man later died in his sleep. Cause unknown. His last Google search was, "How to break a curse." Steve refuses to speak about it. Karen moved across the country. She sees a therapist regularly. Lily, now 22, still draws red-eyed figures in locked rooms. She says she dreams of a voice whispering numbers. And every birthday she finds a line scratched into her window pane. Just one. The count has reached 1004. Some stories are fiction, but others like this are too detailed to ignore. If this one chilled you, subscribe to Midnight Knocks for more true stories from the edge of fear. Because what's hiding behind your walls might already know your name.